The Raiders are in the middle of a fascinating shakeup, and it starts with the most important position on the offensive line. Pete Carroll confirmed what many were speculating. Veteran lineman Stone Forsythe will step in as the starting left tackle. Carroll made it clear that Forsythe isn't just a placeholder. He praised his work ethic, intelligence, and mentality, pointing out that the big man has already started plenty of NFL games, some at left tackle. Carroll stressed that he trusts him in this role because he's coached him before, even dating back to Seattle. But even as he made that announcement, Carroll left the door open ever so slightly by mentioning rookie Charles Grant, who he says is working like crazy in case he's needed. The message was subtle but clear. Forsythe is the guy now, but the leash may not be long. This is the type of move that has Raiders fans split. On one side, there are those who view Forsythe as a liability, citing viral clips of him losing reps as proof he isn't good enough to protect the quarterback's blind side. On the other, you have those who recognize he's not an all-pro but also not a disaster, certainly a steadier option than Thayer Munford or the inconsistent DJ Glaze. In many ways, Forsythe is exactly what Carroll called him: serviceable, coachable, and ready. And sometimes in a position this vital, steadiness is more important than flash. But make no mistake, the Raiders will have to scheme smart. Leaving Forsythe on an island against elite pass rushers would be a mistake. This is where coaching comes in, using tight ends and running backs to chip, sliding protection his way, and making sure he doesn't get exposed one-on-one. Carroll has seen it work before, pointing to how other teams survive with backups on the edge when they scheme it right. Where the cracks may show is in the run game. Kolton Miller gave the Raiders a dominant push on the left side, opening lanes and setting the tone. Forsythe, while competent in pass protection, simply isn't that kind of run blocker. The early season rushing success that leaned heavily on running left could take a hit. Against the Colts, with their quick, disruptive front featuring players like DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, that drop-off may be noticeable immediately. Fans might still see the occasional big run when someone else seals their block perfectly, but the consistent push from the left side likely won't be there. Charles Grant looms as the wild card. Carroll's comments about him preparing as if he could go in at any moment were telling. Grant has the length, athleticism, and raw tools that make coaches salivate. He may not have faced elite competition in college, but at 6'6" with serious power, the upside is undeniable. Many believe it's only a matter of time before he takes over, and if Forsythe struggles early, that timeline could accelerate. Carroll has to walk a fine line here. Ride with the veteran's steadiness for now, but be willing to pull the trigger on the rookie if things start unraveling. The Raiders also made roster moves that shed light on how they're planning for the future. With Kolton Miller landing on injured reserve, they elevated tight end Carter Renan and signed free agent tackle Leroy Watson to the practice squad. Watson isn't a star by any means, but he's logged real NFL snaps, starting games for the Titans last season. His pass blocking grade wasn't great, but the fact the Raiders chose him over someone familiar with their system shows they value veteran experience right now over developmental upside. This is about depth, insurance, and survival. Another storyline that lit a fire under fans was Ashton Gentry's resurgence. Switching back to his old stance, the so-called Michael Myers stance, he looked like a completely different player. Before the change, his production had dipped, averaging less than 50 yards per game on over 17 touches. With the stance back, he exploded for 155 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a highlight reel 60-yard run. It was more than just numbers. He looked confident again, decisive in his cuts and capable of breaking big plays. Some even speculated his comments about the stance were shots at Chip Kelly, who had made him change it earlier. Whatever the truth, the results were undeniable. But the real test comes against the Colts, whose defensive line is built on speed and athleticism, not just power. If Gentry shines again, then the stance change might just be the turning point in his season. On defense, there were quiet but meaningful adjustments. Carroll didn't abandon his reliance on base defense, which has frustrated many, but he did change the coverage looks. The Raiders shifted away from single high shells and leaned more on 2 high safety alignments, which limited the Bears' ability to land backbreaking deep shots. Instead of giving up 60-yard bombs, the defense only allowed a handful of mid-range completions. It's not a complete fix, but it's a sign that adjustments are being made to patch vulnerabilities before elite quarterbacks arrive on the schedule. Altogether, the Raiders are entering a stretch defined by calculated risks and survival tactics. Forsythe's insertion at left tackle isn't about unlocking dominance. It's about stabilizing chaos until Kolton Miller returns or Charles Grant proves ready to step in. Gentry's revival gives the offense new juice. while defensive tweaks suggest the staff is at least aware of what needs fixing. The question is whether these adjustments are enough to keep the team competitive in a conference where one bad game in the trenches can swing an entire season. What do you think, Raiders fans? Is Pete Carroll making the right call by trusting Stone Forsythe at left tackle, or should Charles Grant already be getting his shot? And do you believe Ashton Gentry's breakout was a one-game wonder or the beginning of something real? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more Raiders updates and analysis.